You adore your little furry dictator, don't you? You'd do anything just to hear that contented purr or feel them curled up warm against you. But what if I told you that some of the ways you show your love every day are actually, slowly but surely, harming their health? Sounds shocking, right? Today, we're breaking down 6 of the most common yet completely hidden ways even the most devoted owners might be hurting their cats. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll look at some of your daily habits in a whole new way, and you might even save your pet from future health or behavioural issues. By the way, head down to the comments right now and tell me, what do you think is the biggest invisible mistake people make in cat care? I'm really curious to see if your guess matches our list. Now let's get into this investigation. Before we dive into the specific mistakes, it's vital to understand one fundamental truth about cats. They are world-class masters of disguise. This instinct comes from their wild ancestors, for whom showing any sign of weakness or pain meant turning from a predator into easy prey. Even your pampered, spoiled house cat is still running that same ancient programming. A cat will endure discomfort and even intense pain until the absolute last moment, hiding their symptoms so skillfully that you might not notice anything for weeks or even months. That's why our job as responsible owners isn't just to be loving, but to be incredibly observant. We have to learn to read between the lines of their behaviour. Even the smallest change can be a loud cry for help that they simply don't know how to express any other way. Remember, a healthy cat is a consistent cat. Any deviation from their normal is a reason to stay alert. The first, and perhaps most insidious mistake, is ignoring those subtle changes in behaviour. Has your cat started sleeping more lately? You might think, well, she's a cat. That's just what they do. Or maybe she stopped greeting you at the door like she used to. She's probably just tired, you tell yourself, or having an off day. Is she suddenly hiding under the couch when she's always been social? Something must have spooked her. We're quick to find a dozen everyday explanations, chalking it up to their personality, the weather, or just our own imagination. But in a cat's world, nothing happens just because. Every shift in behaviour is a message. It's their way of saying, hey, something's wrong. Since they can't use words to tell us about a dull ache in their joints or an upset stomach, they change their habits instead. When we look the other way or dismiss these minor details, we lose precious time we could have used to catch a health issue at its very earliest stage. Let's take a closer look at the specific signs you should be watching for. Any change in appetite, whether your cat is eating less or more than usual, is always a red flag. A sudden refusal to eat can signal dozens of issues, ranging from dental pain to nausea. On the other hand, a sudden ravenous appetite might be a symptom of diabetes or hypothyroidism. Next, keep an eye on the litter box. If your cat is going more or less often than usual, spending more time there, or vocalising while they go, take note. And if they start having accidents outside the box, remember, they aren't being spiteful or acting out. In 99% of cases, this is a sign of either stress or a serious urinary issue that needs an immediate vet visit. You should also watch their grooming habits. A cat that stops cleaning itself and starts looking unkempt or matted is likely feeling unwell. Conversely, over-grooming one specific spot until there's a bald patch can be a sign of pain, allergies, or psychological distress. This is their language, and it's one we need to learn. So, what should you do? First, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. The best approach is to keep a simple observation log. Jot down your cat's daily routine, how much they eat, how often they use the litter box, where they sleep, and how active they are. When you notice a change that lasts more than a day or two, it's no longer just a fluke. It's a pattern, and that is your cue to call the vet. Don't worry about sounding paranoid or overreacting. It is much better to have a false alarm and find out everything is fine than to regret missing the early warning signs of a serious illness. Your observation is the most powerful diagnostic tool your pet has. Remember, you are their only advocate in the world of medicine. Don't let them down by dismissing a cry for help as just a bad mood. Now let's move on to the second major mistake, one you'll find in almost every home with a cat. I'm talking about poor eating habits that we, as owners, inadvertently create. The biggest culprit here is the endless bowl, keeping dry food available 24/7. It seems convenient, right? We think our cats will never go hungry and can just snack whenever they like. But we're forgetting that cats are natural predators. Their bodies are designed for small, distinct meals throughout the day, not for mindless grazing on carbohydrate-heavy kibble. Free feeding is a direct path to obesity, which in turn triggers diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis. It can literally cut your pet's life short by several years. Cats don't always eat because they're hungry. They'll eat out of boredom or stress, simply because the food is right there. By doing this, we strip away their natural hunting ritual, the cycle of feeling hunger, catching a meal, feeling satisfied, and then resting. Instead of a thriving predator, we're turning our cats into passive calorie consumers. But the issue isn't just about quantity, it's about quality. Dry kibble, even the high-end stuff, contains very little moisture, usually only around 10%. Now keep in mind that cats' ancestors were desert dwellers. They evolved to get almost all their hydration from their prey, mice and birds, which are 70 to 80% water. Because of this, cats have a naturally low thirst drive. They are biologically wired to get water from their food, not a bowl. They simply don't drink enough to compensate for a dry diet. This leads to chronic dehydration, which puts a massive, relentless strain on the kidneys. It's no wonder that kidney disease is one of the leading causes of death in senior cats. We are essentially creating this health crisis ourselves, prioritizing our own convenience over their biological needs. Look at it this way. Imagine if you spent your entire life eating nothing but dry crackers. How long do you think your kidneys would last? Exactly. The third piece of this nutritional disaster is feeding your cat from the table. You know how it goes. Just one tiny bite of cheese, look at those eyes. Or, she just loves sausage. Stop right there. Our food is literal poison for cats. The massive amounts of salt, spices and fats are a direct hit to their pancreas and liver. Onions and garlic in any form, even if they're just an ingredient in a meatball, are toxic and cause anemia. Chocolate, grapes and raisins are flat out lethal. And despite the old cartoon stereotype, milk and dairy cause severe digestive issues for most adult cats because they lack the enzyme to process lactose. When you give your cat human food, you aren't spoiling them, you're poisoning them. You might be satisfying a momentary urge to feel like a kind owner, but you're doing irreparable damage to their health in the long run. Cats should only eat cat food, period. So, what's the solution? First, switch to scheduled feedings. Aim for 2 or 3 meals a day, following the guidelines on the packaging while adjusting for your cat's specific weight and activity level. Be sure to pick up the bowl after 20 to 30 minutes, even if there's food left. This establishes a healthy routine and makes it much easier to manage their weight. Second, make sure to incorporate wet food into their diet. It doesn't just help with hydration. Its texture and nutritional profile are much closer to what cats would naturally eat. A great approach is mixed feeding. For example, serving wet food in the morning and leaving out a measured portion of dry kibble for the rest of the day. And third, encourage your cat to drink more water. Place several water bowls around your home, but keep them away from the food bowl. Instinctively, cats prefer not to drink where they eat. You might even consider getting a pet water fountain. The sound of running water is far more enticing to them than a still bowl. These are simple steps, but they can quite literally save your pet's life. Mistake number 3, a dull and sterile environment. Think about being stuck in an apartment where the only things you have are a couch, a table and a TV that never turns on. No books, no music, no internet, and no one to talk to. How long would you last before the boredom drove you crazy? Unfortunately, this is the reality for many indoor cats. We provide them with food, safety, and a roof over their heads, but we completely overlook their mental and physical needs. A cat is not a throw pillow. It's a highly intelligent predator that needs to explore, hunt, climb, and hide to stay mentally healthy. Without these outlets, cats suffer from chronic boredom and stress. This eventually turns into behavioural issues, shredded furniture, aggression, lethargy, overeating, or even self-harm. To your cat, your apartment is their entire world. It's your job to make that world worth living in. What does environmental enrichment actually mean for your cat? It isn't just about expensive toys or massive play structures. First and foremost, it's about vertical space. Cats instinctively love being up high. It gives them a sense of security and a clear view of their territory. Give your cat plenty of ways to climb. A multi-level cat tree, wall-mounted shelves, a cleared-off spot on top of a wardrobe, or even just a cosy bed on a windowsill. Second, you need the right scratching surfaces. Scratching is a natural physical need and a way for cats to mark their territory. If you don't provide a proper outlet, your cat will find one themselves, and you probably won't like their choice. It's best to have a few different types, like vertical pillars, horizontal cardboard pads, and corner scratchers. Place them in the areas where your cat spends the most time. Finally, every cat needs a safe retreat. Whether it's a simple cardboard box, a cat house, or a tunnel, having a place to hide is essential. The ability to tuck themselves away when they're stressed or just want some alone time is one of the best ways to keep your cat happy and relaxed. And then, of course, there's playtime. Your cat has a natural instinct to hunt, but simply tossing a few toy mice on the floor isn't enough. Real play requires your active involvement. Use feather wands, teaser toys, or even laser pointers. Just be sure to end laser sessions with a physical catch, like a treat, to prevent frustration. Interactive toys that hide food are also a fantastic option. Just 15 to 20 minutes of vigorous play, twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, can work wonders. It burns off pent-up energy, keeps them physically fit, and strengthens the bond between you. Don't forget about mental stimulation either. Puzzle feeders and treat hunting games are perfect for keeping their minds sharp. Remember, a bored cat is an unhappy cat, and boredom often leads to behavioural issues and even physical health problems. Enrich their environment and keep their life interesting. In return, you'll have a healthy, happy, and well-behaved companion. Mistake number 4 stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of feline psychology: the use of punishment. Picture this. Your cat has just shredded your favourite sofa. Your gut reaction might be to yell, reach for a spray bottle, or even give them a swat. We do this because we think we're teaching them that what they did was bad. But in reality, we're making a massive mistake. Cats don't think in categories of right and wrong, and they don't experience guilt. They simply follow their instincts. Your cat isn't scratching the furniture to spite you. They do it because they need to sharpen their claws and don't have a better option nearby. They didn't jump on the counter to be naughty. They did it for the great view and the tempting smells. By punishing instinctual behaviour, you aren't solving the original problem. Instead, you're creating a much deeper one. Your cat stops trusting you. They don't link the punishment to their own actions. Instead, they associate the pain, the fear, and the discomfort directly with you. This kind of discipline only leaves you with a terrified, neurotic pet. Your cat will start avoiding you, darting away to hide the moment you walk into the room. They may even become aggressive, lashing out because they see you as a threat and feel the need to defend themselves. Unwanted behaviours like scratching the furniture won't stop. In fact, they'll likely get worse. Your cat will simply wait until you're gone to do it as a way to cope with the stress. And when it comes to accidents outside the litter box, punishment is the absolute worst thing you can do. A cat punished for missing the box begins to associate the act of relieving themselves with fear and pain. This often leads to them holding it in, which can cause serious, even life-threatening health problems. Let's be clear, yelling, physical force, rubbing their nose in it, or spraying them with water are not training techniques. That is abuse. It shatters your cat's mental well-being and destroys the bond of trust between you. So, what's the secret? It's not about punishment. It's about redirecting and providing alternatives. Is your cat shredding the sofa? Place an appealing scratching post right next to it. The moment they start using the post, shower them with praise and treats. You want to make the right behaviour much more rewarding than the wrong one. Is your cat jumping on the kitchen counters? Make the surface unappealing by temporarily covering it with aluminum foil or double-sided tape. At the same time, give them an even better vantage point nearby, like a tall cat tree by the window. If your cat is missing the litter box, your first stop should be the vet to rule out any medical issues. If they get a clean bill of health, then the problem is likely the setup. The box might be too small, too dirty, or located in a high-traffic area. Don't be afraid to experiment with different types of litter and locations. Always address the cause, not just the symptom. Reinforce the behaviour you want to see and ignore or prevent the behaviour you don't. That is the only way to build a healthy relationship based on trust. Now for point number 5, something many owners completely overlook until they're facing a serious crisis: dental health. Most of us are diligent about vaccinations and parasite prevention, but for some reason we rarely think to check what's going on inside our cat's mouth. That's a bigger mistake. Dental issues aren't just about bad breath. They are a source of chronic pain that prevents your cat from eating, playing, and living a happy life. Over time, plaque hardens into tartar, which triggers gum inflammation or gingivitis. If left untreated, that inflammation spreads deeper, destroying the tissues that support the teeth. This leads to periodontal disease and eventually tooth loss. Imagine having a constant throbbing toothache but no way to tell anyone. That is exactly how a cat with dental disease feels. They might start refusing dry kibble, lose weight, or become unusually irritable. And yet, it's easy for us to miss the fact that the real problem is hidden right there in their mouth. But the risk goes far beyond just losing teeth. An infected mouth acts as a direct gateway for bacteria to enter the bloodstream. From there, they travel throughout the entire body, settling in vital organs. Science has clearly linked poor dental health to the development of serious heart, kidney, and liver diseases. This means that by neglecting your cat's teeth, you aren't just risking their comfort, you're risking their life. The problem is made worse by the fact that cats are masters at hiding pain. You might have no idea how much damage is being done until the situation reaches a breaking point. That's why regular dental checkups are just as vital as annual vaccinations. While professional cleaning under anaesthesia can feel intimidating, it is often the only way to prevent life-threatening complications and protect your cat's overall health. What can we do at home to stay on top of our cat's dental health? To be honest, there's no perfect substitute for a professional cleaning, but we can definitely slow down the build-up of tartar. The gold standard is brushing their teeth with a pet-safe toothbrush and toothpaste. It can be a challenge, so it's best to start when they're kittens, taking it one step at a time and using plenty of treats and praise. If brushing just isn't an option, don't worry, there are alternatives. Special dental diets use uniquely shaped kibble to help scrub away plaque as they eat. You can also find dental gels, sprays, and water additives that target bacteria in the mouth. Dental treats are another helpful tool, though you shouldn't rely on them as your only defense. The most important thing is to stay proactive. Check your cat's teeth and gums regularly. If you notice any redness, heavy build-up, or bad breath, it's time to see a vet. Remember, a healthy mouth is the foundation of a long and happy life. And finally, the 6th mistake is a subtle yet complex one: anthropomorphism, or simply put, humanizing our cats. We love them so much that we project our own emotions, motives, and needs onto them, completely overlooking their true feline nature. For instance, we might think our cat is lonely and get them a friend, without a proper, gradual introduction. This often turns into a territorial war and chronic stress for both animals. We dress them up in cute outfits for photos, not realizing that for a cat, with their sensitive whiskers and unique way of regulating body heat, This can be a source of genuine physical distress. We might feel rejected when they don't want to be held, so we force the interaction, ignoring the clear body language screaming, "Let me go!" And perhaps most commonly, we assume they're being spiteful or seeking revenge when they stop using the litter box. But cats don't do revenge. They are usually just trying to tell us they're in pain, scared, or uncomfortable. When we stop seeing them as little humans and start respecting them as cats, that's when we truly begin to meet their needs. It all starts with love, yet it often leads to misunderstanding and unintended harm. When we force cats into behaviours that aren't natural for them, we cause them stress. And just like in humans, chronic stress acts as a trigger for a wide range of health issues, from idiopathic cystitis to skin conditions and digestive problems. Things we see as perfectly normal, loud music, frequent guests, rearranging furniture, or even shouting, can be sources of intense anxiety for a cat. To us, it's just part of life. To them, it feels like the collapse of their stable and predictable world. Consider hugs and kisses. We see them as the ultimate expression of affection. But many cats aren't naturally tactile creatures. For them, being held tight can feel like a frightening act of dominance and a loss of freedom. They might endure it because they love us, but the tension continues to build up inside. It is vital that we learn to recognise and respect their boundaries. Real love isn't about imposing our own desires, it's about understanding and meeting the actual needs of those we care for. Ever wonder how to love a cat on their own terms? It all starts with learning their language, the language of the body. Think of a slow blink as a cat kiss. If you do it back, you're telling them you love and trust them too. When a cat rubs their cheek against you, they're marking you with their scent, claiming you as part of the family. Let them do it. Offer your hand and lean in. Remember, purring isn't always a sign of happiness. Sometimes it's a way to cope with pain or stress. Learn to read the context, and if they show you their belly, take it as the ultimate compliment of trust, but don't reach for it. Most cats actually hate being touched there. You're much better off sticking to scratches behind the ears or along the jawline. Instead of picking them up whenever you want to cuddle, try sitting on the floor and waiting for them to come to you. Let them initiate the contact. Instead of dressing them up in costumes, grab a feather wand and let them play hunter. And finally, if your cat is misbehaving, don't just get angry. Try to understand the need they're trying to meet and help them find a better way to express it. That is how you truly love a cat. Understanding that a cat is an entirely different species, with its own unique needs, instincts and ways of communicating, is the true key to its health and happiness. Stop looking at them through a human lens. Your cat isn't just a tiny furry person. She is a masterfully designed predator who has chosen to share a home with us. Our primary responsibility is to create an environment where she can thrive as a cat, not as a museum piece or a living toy. Respect her need for solitude, for high vantage points, for the thrill of the hunt, and for a stable routine. Your love only becomes a safe haven, rather than a source of stress, when it's rooted in a deep respect for her nature. This is the highest form of care we can offer. It's more demanding than just providing food and affection, but the reward is well worth it. A healthy, peaceful, and truly happy companion by your side. All right, let's quickly recap the most important takeaways. So often, we miss the subtle signs of illness hidden in our cat's behaviour. We compromise their health by leaving food out all day and forgetting how vital hydration is. We unintentionally turn their home into a dull prison, stripped of any real stimulation. We try to train them with punishment, which only damages their spirit and their trust in us. We neglect their dental hygiene, putting their entire body at risk. And finally, we smother them with human love, completely ignoring their actual needs as cats. But here is the most striking part. We don't make these mistakes out of malice. We make them out of a deep, sincere love for our pets. We want to spoil them, protect them, and treat them like humans. But the truth is, the best way to truly love a cat is to understand and respect its feline nature. Thank you for sticking with me until the end of this video. If you learned something new today, or perhaps recognized a few of these habits in yourself, please give this video a like. It really helps other cat owners find this information. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our future guides on keeping our furry friends happy and healthy. Now, I have a question for you. Which of these habits do you think will be the hardest for you to change? Or maybe you've noticed other hidden risks that I didn't mention. Share your experience in the comments below. Let's help each other become the best cat parents we can be.